Let me just talk about the worst movie of the year. You got to say the most awesomely bad movie of 2020 has made it. Now, you knew with us doing all these movies that we're watching on Netflix because we don't have any actual movies to go see at the theaters yet, you had to ask yourself, out of all these Netflix movies, all these streaming movies, we're going to cut the shit on something, right? At some point, we're going to have to complain about a movie that was just so bad. Well, okay, let's look. Trolls World Tour. Everybody's really, praising about that. Scoob, I never heard much about. I didn't hear much about Lovebirds, and I watched it, and I enjoyed it. I'm a movie buff, and only because there are certain movies I will watch. I don't watch horror movies, not my preference, but I do go to a lot of movies. Everything that's a genre based, so it's when it's Marvel, DC based. Most of your Oscar nominated stuff I will go watch. A lot of thrillers, a lot of action, a lot of mysteries, suspense. That's the kind of stuff I like. And you know what? Action movies, the trailer for Last Days of American Crime looked good. And then I watched it 2 hours, 40 minutes. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't think this movie was so bad that I would not recommend to not watch it. I mean, it's watchable. For me, if I had to go and make a grade for it, it's a D. Like, it wasn't completely an F. I know people really, people that are certain critics are just going to crap over movies because if there's no any kind of like real intrinsic value behind it, there's not any kind of quality behind like the screenwriting or all that's going on. But action movies always get a shitty rating anyway. But yes, that's looking right there, looking below. That's Rotten Tomatoes right there. The current rating of Last Days of American Crime, 0. Now, by the way, I'm the same person that watched Gotti last year, and I know that was a shit too. But you know what? That's the good thing about having a movie subscription. I had that for Regal, and when I had that, I could go see Gotti, and I don't know if I had that or if I had a free pass, but I watched it on a free pass. Now, this movie, if I were going to watch it in the theater and I would have not have paid for it, I would have probably been a little bit, a little bit pissed off going just to make the trip of going over there. But for Netflix, I'm not worried too much about it, and I'm actually not surprised to see movies like that hit like this. But this movie itself, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but Edgar Ramirez, I saw in a lot of different movies. And he's not been a bad actor, right? I mean, I thought it would have been okay, right? But then, and Jacob Pitt, I've seen him as he was in Boardwalk Empire in a very good role. I don't know what is you guys did, but Edgar Ramirez, I've seen him in a lot of movies, and I'm like, wow, this movie didn't do well. Now it looked good. Don't get me wrong. I did enjoy the way that they put it together. Like it looked good. I thought the female character, I forget her name now, wasn't memorable much, honestly. Like the whole cast, the whole story, like I knew what the story was about, but really the whole thing about it, uh, Anna Bruce's character, I don't know. It was just like what they put together. Oh, Michael Pitt. Oh, I say said Jacob, Michael Pitt. Oh, Charlton Copley, who was from A-Team and a bunch of other movies too. It didn't have like a master cast. You didn't have the movie go in where you normally have like the setup of certain stars that would come in that, would have a particular look that would be. It wasn't high. It wasn't like a big all-star cast. I don't know how much was made in terms of how much it cost, but the movie itself was just kind of weird. Now, Michael Pitt's character, yeah, he wanted to be like this natural. It's like really like an offshoot of natural-born characters. Pseudo. I mean, he was using a lot of cliche stuff, and he looked the part, but man, whatever words they gave him was a B movie level bad. I mean, I thought I don't know. It was like a turn on and off. Sociopath, yes. Psychopath, yes. Schizophrenic, yes. I don't know. There was something about the character just was off, and it wasn't consistent. And it felt weird that the girlfriend that he had was sleeping around with the main guy, Edgar Ramirez's character, Brick, and then went along and they were kind of like this and that. Like I don't want to go into the whole story. The long story short, the main plot. I mean, I didn't mind how they worked with it. The API, the idea was like basically a dog whistle that would stop criminals from making crimes. It was a weird premise, but I didn't mind it so much. I went along with it. I thought that whole idea, yeah, you can work with that. It was a robbery movie, heist. Okay, I can work off of that. And then I look at the rest of it. Like I said, I mean, the character was worth. It was just kind of off the whole time. But again, this is the son of a major gangster that was the rival gang that Brick was working against. So different families, different feuds. So the whole style of how they put this together and how this guy, in particular, this guy here, got Brick or Edgar Ramirez's character to buy into doing a heist with him. I don't know. It never really was much sense to why they did that. I keep knocking my camera down. And then that's one of the cops that was corrupt. That really didn't give much credence to, but then he was an evil piece of shit anyway. How he messed with the girl in the first place. And there's Edgar Ramirez's character. Okay. No. Okay. The action was fine with him. But again, this is a B movie star. In this particular movie, he fit this like a B movie action star because it was like worse than Van Damme charisma, if it could be, or worse than Steven Seagal B movie charisma, if there could be that. Otherwise, the explosions, the boom boom stuff, all the action stuff, like really did look really good. So they put some money into this, obviously, but this is one of those movies that definitely should have never made it to the theaters, and I'm glad that they did not do that. Now Netflix is going to take the hit for it. This is the girl. Okay, she's not particularly like a likable character. I didn't really like her too much. Like usually when you have a girl like this that is playing both sides and she's having to do like something where she's trying to save her sister in the story, right? And so she is being swoggled into this story to go ahead and work with the bad guys to get the heist done. Falls in love with Brick, and I mean the whole way it was put together felt so off. And there was nothing redeeming about this girl, not to me at all. I just didn't feel anything with this character. It was just kind of just flat all the way together. And again, just looking at these three together, the Michael Pitt character, I mean, damn, man, this thing just sucked. I'm just like, I wasn't feeling anything for it. It was just so off. And, they were trying to make this girl look sexy. I just didn't feel she that much. There was just not much to her. Just kind of a character. I just feel like it was not cast well, I guess. The Michael Pitt character could have been better, and I think it could have done the job better, but if it had better material, I would think. And there they are as they're going through the heist, they become in love, and they're working to get each other on the heist and all this bullshit. I was like, just didn't care for it too much. And again, just these are the stills we got. I'm telling you, man, Brick, like this guy was easily swindled by everybody. This guy's like a bad guy, and he's like a good guy in wrestling, gets screwed by everybody easily. He's like a baby face. And I just felt like also the guy got killed. Like, I felt like it was like near murder, near death, so many different times and survives everything. And I mean, the way they finished off was good, which I'm not going to give that away. But for the most part, this character just was so one dimensional and so felt so flat. And I just feel like, it was just an awesomely bad movie altogether. And then there's this thing where the girl is like the smart girl. She was actually like this MIT grad that knew how to go and break into the cop system and all this shit. And I'm like, okay, here's how I'm going to get the money and all. Like, it just felt like, so she's playing bad girl, sleazy, hangers on, valet to the bad guy. But then she's like this smart as a whip IT person, the way they kind of put her out, because the way she talked was like so sleazy and so like trying to be sexy, it just didn't work. And then all of a sudden we're supposed to believe she's like this smart whiz kid that can just like break through anything and everything. I don't know. I just didn't play that either. Wasn't working for me there. So there we go. That's that. Now, Last of American Crime. Here's one of this is a, I love this right here. A review from IndieWire. This is one of the better ones I wanted to take in here. Olivier Megaton's Netflix heist movie is so bad it should be illegal. A deeply stupid sci-fi story about the future of American fascism. Okay, I mean, listen, again, I don't mind like the post-apocalyptic kind of deal. I actually thought it was kind of interesting. So the guys that brought you Taken 2 and Taken 3, which, by the way, they shouldn't have made Taken 3. Taken 2 was okay, but Taken shouldn't have been made into sequels anyway, I don't think, for the most part. So never doubt the self-confidence of a man who changes his last name to Megaton. And this guy is not afraid to say, here's the thing about Last Days of American Crime. This is just brutal right here. You don't have time for this shit. None of us do. Just because Olivier Megaton's amazing, agonizingly dull Netflix features 149 minutes long. This movie, I thought it ended at like an hour and a half. I'm telling you, if you watch, I felt like they could have ended it in an hour and a half, but no, no, no. We got another fucking hour left of this movie. Oh my God. What are they going to do next? I'm glad I had other things to do. I did not sit down, throw my ottoman up, and sit to watch this thing. I actually multitasked to watch this because I don't think it would have been worth it to watch this whole thing like it was. So now, while this is never really a good moment to introduce a bad movie, this hollow and artless dystopian heist dreck is also a victim of his own relevance. We're all for escapism where you get it. And he went ahead and streamed Terrace House, but he says, watching a deeply stupid fantasy about the future of American fascism almost feels like a dereliction of duty when the country is on the verge of becoming a police state in real life. This was bad. It was really bad. I'm going to just play in the background this stupid movie, but look, really, the trailer sold this pretty well. So Edgar Ramirez, I wasn't playing too much about it, but like, the visuals look good, post-apocalyptic. He goes ahead and like, okay, here we go, crime all over the place. We're getting like a full, riotous society and all this stuff, and then robbery goes on, and then here's where they show this particular dog whistle that screws every criminal in the head from actually being able to rob. And Edgar Ramirez's character Brick finds out what happens to that. Okay. And then they go along, and then he decides to go ahead and meet up with this guy, who's the other bad guy of the group. And here we go. Graphic novel. I don't know what graphic novel it was, but it was based on some really good book, whatever. Book must have sold. And then they go to the story. And again, I got more out of this in 2 minutes than anything else. And just, I felt like the whole natural born killers kind of vibe with the girl and the guy. And I'm like, okay, no, there's something here. I felt like they were getting somewhere with it. But again, they didn't let you see Michael Pitt's bad lines. And then here's this part, which is towards the end. And you see how they did this whole, like, it looks like something out of Ocean's 11 almost, like, right? And then the big chase looks like something out of Terminator. Like, they gave you a lot of stuff that looked really good. And then you see the sniper stuff. Like, I mean, honestly, the trailer was done so well. To make a movie that was just so shitty look so good in the trailer, they did a damn good job. So I'm not surprised if people really took the time to watch this movie, but it was not good. Just telling you. And they really didn't give you a listen to the bad lines that would have really turned you off to this movie. So just giving you that point. And more than that, this is where the quality of streaming movies comes out. Got to ask yourself the question. I mean, okay, is the movie streaming only? Should we lower our expectations? And this is New York Times that put this out a few weeks ago. This is actually right at the start of the pandemic. So they asked some of their people about the movies, if they were good enough to watch, if they were streaming. And, should we have lower expectations for the quality of streaming only movies? Should they be considered the modern equivalent of straight to video, or are they headed in a different direction? I just want to take that one question and make the point of, this is why I enjoy watching movies with a theatrical window, exhibition. Because then that the people that made the movies, the movie studios that are going to put the money out, when they don't have to put that much promotion, Netflix will do all the promotion for this movie and the budget, right? If they're going to do that, then if they're going to put real promotion behind a movie and let it get out there for consideration, all that kind of stuff, then that tells you that this movie is going to do really well. And they had the gusto, the cojones, if you will, to put this movie out, and they really banked on it doing well. Well, there you go. But again, I was around watching movies on VHS and DVD and Blu-ray and all that, and I'm telling you what, this is straight to video. This is absolutely a straight to video. And I see some of the movies that come up on streaming as well that I've watched. I watched Escape Plan 3. Oh, I shouldn't have seen that. But it was average. Dave Bautista was in it. Stallone. I thought it was fine. Bad villain, and I forget his name now. It was the guy from Alpha Boy, and I forget his name. Emil Hirsch, that's who it was. Wasn't good. Wasn't a good villain. And you look at this and you say to yourself, are some of the movies on Netflix streaming the video? Well, some are not. Okay, some of them are just like passion projects, concept projects. When you look at, what was the Matt Damon movie that he hit? I forget now. Triple Frontier from Ben Affleck. All the Adam Sandler stuff, like they're just deals to be put together and made. I'm like, okay. But seriously, some of the movies they put out are just, again, they're just kind of flat. Triple Frontier had a good start, man, a bad finish. And Spencer Confidential with Mark Wahlberg, with Michael Berger, or what was it, Peter Berg and all that stuff. That was fine. Actually, that was a pretty decent movie. You could have put that in the movie theaters in like January, February. That's the thing too. Most of these movies that I see, I would probably see them in January, February. It's just straight up popcorn movies that are just like, they're just filling spots in January, February, because that was after Oscar season and there's nothing else to watch. And that's what I'd get from this. This movie could not be put out in the theatrical. This would have been an embarrassment. It would have been a box office bomb. But, that's what you see right here. Now, Jason Bailey, who's a reviewer, he says to the question, it's tempting to put the streaming movies in the same box, and a fair number of them achieve the same function. But I think it's more accurate to think of the streaming platforms in terms of the old studio system. MGM, Fox, Paramount, et al., much like Netflix, controlled not only the means of production, but also their own distribution networks in the form of studio-owned theaters. So studio-owned theaters. So they had created a lot of product, and thus some of their films were A-list with big stars. Sometimes they made B movies with lower budgets, lesser performers, and less attention. And Netflix is doing roughly the same thing, and it's hard not to sift out the difference between, say, The Irishman and Sextuplets. There we go. Another person, Elizabeth Vincentelli, says that Netflix and Amazon are new studios, at least putting movies in front of eyeballs. And they are better at legacies like Warner Brothers Universal or Sony Pictures with little interest in other movies. But streaming has made it easier to find two categories that have been undervalued. So that's what she comes from with that. Anyway, we'll leave it right there. Last Days of American Crime. If you're going to watch this, just be careful because this is not that good. I'm just telling you. If you do watch it, take it as an awesomely bad. It's going to be a cult classic. I believe that's what's going to be. And there will probably be some lines from this movie that people will start quoting because Michael Pitt's character has quote-worthy lines that are so awesomely bad, they probably might be lip-synced to the TikTok videos for all I know. Watch out.